Okay, so we are, guys, listen up and then quiet down so I can get through these notes. So we're working on 4.2. Oh man, what happened? Why don't I have my tools? What happened to my tools? There we go. So we're gonna do 4.2 practice solving. Okay, so Joe Malik, what's your problem from 4.2? What does it say? Read the problem first.
It says, give a solution of a system if the system has no solution or an infinite number of solutions, say so. If the system has one solution, find it.
Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it's a bracket or a, I don't know how to say that.
Okay, give me a sec. So here's what we're gonna do.
Yes.
We're gonna give the solutions to the system or for the system. The system just means the two equations, okay? All system means is the two equations that it gives you. I'm gonna tell you this, all 5 problems, they all have a solution, and it's one solution. So the option of, what is it, infinite, no solution, or
Let's see. There's an infinite number of solutions on here.
none of them are B and C. They're all gonna be A, and you're gonna have to type in the answer, okay? So when we say give solutions for the system, so what are the two equations? Is it like this?
Yeah, it's like
Okay, so that's a bracket, a curly bracket, and then what's the equation, the first one?
it's 3x plus 2y equals 3.
3x plus 2y equals 3.
Yes.
That's the first one, and what's the second one?
X equals y plus 1.
Second equation. So when it says give solutions for the system, what do you guys think we're trying to solve? Or what are we trying to find? What are the two things we're gonna find? What are the two variables you have in your equations?
X and y.
X and y. So all we're gonna do when we find the solutions, that means we're gonna figure out what is x and what is y. We can't guess. There's no point in guessing because there's infinitely many solutions if we guess. But if we use these equations and use one, substitute it into the first one, or vice versa, we'll find the solution that way. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. Yes.
It also says when solving you obtain y equals 0.
Okay, so it's telling you, it already tells you that y is gonna be 0. That makes it even easier. But that's also a way to check your work, okay? I'll show you 2 ways to solve it, and the short way, the long way, and then the short way. And when you write the answers have to be in this format. A and S is a short for answer. It's got to be parentheses, your x value, comma, your y value, and then parentheses. Okay. This is how you're going to type your answer into Pearson. This is how your answer should look in Pearson. But instead of x and y, you're going to have numbers. Okay, some number there. So let me show you the proper way to solve, and then if it's giving you 0, I will give you a. Okay. So the way you learned in the video that's in 4.2 Solving Systems video, this lady, my homegirl Elaine, is telling you guys to take one equation and substitute it into the other. Okay? So here, the second one, what is it telling us that x is equal to? What is x equal to? Y plus 1. So what I can do is I can substitute this into this x. And the reason I want to do that is so I can get rid of the x and have this all in terms of y. So I have all y's in one equation or all x's in one equation. Some of the problems have it like y equals something. So you're going to solve for y first. In this one we're going to solve, in the other way you'll solve for x first, but this way we're going to solve for y. So instead of writing the equation with x, I'm going to rewrite it as 3. Okay, look, I'm putting this right here instead of x. Y plus 1. The rest stays the same. 2y equals 3. I don't change any of that. Okay, the reason I do that is because now I have only y and I can solve for that. I can solve that pretty straightforward with algebra. I am going to distribute the 3, which means I multiply everything inside the parentheses by this 3. So that gives me 3y plus 3 plus 2y equals 3. What should I do next? How can I simplify this so that I can solve for y? Combine like terms. Valeria, what do you think? What does combine like terms mean? I agree. I think you should combine like terms. What does that mean? What am I going to combine?
3y and 2y.
Good. Thank you. 3y and positive 2y. What's 3 plus 2? 5y. And then what about that 3? Can I combine it with anything? Not really. It's just by itself. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that solo. 3 and then equals 3. Okay. Now I just need to solve for y. I've got one equation, one unknown variable. From there, it's pretty straightforward to get to the solution for y. I'm going to get rid of this y, so I subtract 3 from both sides. Those cancel. I'm going to bring down my 5y. 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay, so far so good? Everybody's good? This part's just algebra, which we learned this one a lot. We've already seen this a bunch of times. Now I want to get rid of the 5. I divide by 5. Divide by 5. Those cancel. And what happens? What's y equal to? 0. Okay. I don't know if they all give you that clue that y equals 0. So I don't know. If they don't, this is how you have to find the 0. Or you find the value of y this way. But are we done? What do we need for the answer?
X.
We need x and y. Okay. So let's go back here. We found y equals 0, and it kind of gave us that clue that when y equals 0. Okay. So part of our answer here is y is going to be 0. So I can already just delete that. Put 0. Okay. Now what I need to do with that y is I need to come back and plug it into this equation. Okay. To find x, plug in y equals 0 to x equals y plus 1. Does that make sense? Where did I get x equals y plus 1? Where did I get this? He said, where did this one come from? This whole equation. Where did I get it from? Well, I'm going to plug y equals 0 into here. But where did this equation come from? Where did I get it from?
Over there.
Yeah, it's part of the original equation. It's the first equation. So then that's super, I think, straightforward. I substitute instead of x. I'm solving for x. Instead of y, I put 0 plus 1. And that gives me what? Just 1. Okay, so I can go back here. And I can solve. Instead of x, now I put 1. This is what my answer is going to be. So, Joe, let me type this in. It's going to be parentheses, 1, 0, parentheses. And that should be your answer. I showed you the long way. What would have been the short way to find the answer?
You just plug in the 2 into the equation.
What 2?
Yours
are different. There's like 4 different problems. I don't know if it's mixing up the order of your problems or if it gives you different numbers. But not all, everybody's number 1 is not all the same.
You plug in the 1 into the equation and solve for it.
But what did it give you in the beginning?
0.
It gave you that from the very start. So you didn't even need to do all of this. Okay? It gave you 0 from the start. You could have plugged it in and got your x straight away. Okay? I don't know if all the problems give you that clue. I didn't read it. I didn't read all of them carefully. I just kind of looked at them real quick when I was setting them up. So if it doesn't give you that 0, of course you got to do all these steps. Solve for one of the variables first by substituting this into the first equation. Solve for the variable algebraically, and then plug it in to get the second. Does that make sense? What questions? Did you have a question, Kayla? Did you get lost somewhere?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Almost all my multiples.
That's for 4.2. Now I'm gonna show you guys, somebody pull up, how do I add a page here? Can I add a page? Somebody open up 4.5. Let me see if I can add a page. And then read me a question from 4.5. Add page. I may have to start a new one. Add page. Purge. Oh, it's locked. I need to pay money. No thanks.
Like, is this the, I don't know what my email was, so I can enter the Robux. I lost all my Robux.
Oh no, that's not good.
I paid like money for it. I lost it.
Okay, who's got a problem from 4.5?
Oh.
Itzel? What does your problem say? What does it say?
Write a system of equations in X and Y describing the situation. Do not solve the system. A smaller number and a larger number add up to 7 billion and have a difference of 1. Let X be the larger number and Y be the smaller number.
Okay, this one, how is it different, Itzel, than the first one? Look up here.
Okay, the system.
It's a system like the first example, but what about the first word?
Right.
Right. The first part, 4.2, you solved what they gave you. That's it. They give you a system, which is 2 equations. You use that to solve and you're done. Find the x, find the y, type it in. For 4.5, you need to write the equation. So you need to come up with the equations, then solve them. If you don't write them and set them up correctly, even if you solve them the right way, you will not get the correct answer. So there's 2 challenges here: setting up the equations and then solving them. The way you set them up is you have to read the word problems. So can you read it one more time very slowly, like a couple words at a time?
A smaller number and a larger number.
Okay. A smaller number, okay, and a larger number.
Add up to 17.
Number add to 17. Okay, what's the second part?
And have a difference of 1.
And have a different, that's it.
And then it says let X be the larger number and Y be the smaller number.
Okay, so guys, everybody, this is gonna be the hardest part. Reading these words and coming out with equations for them. This one happens to give you a clue, but not all of them give you the clue. You have to figure it out. So it tells you, basically, here's how the questions work. It gives you some statement. A smaller number and a larger number add to 17. You need to figure out what is X and what is Y. It doesn't matter which one. Some of them, it won't matter which one you give X and which one you give Y. Some of them will tell you, make this X, make this Y. But basically, you're going to have 2 things. It's going to be 2 different things. In this case, it's a smaller number, and the other thing is a larger number. Some other the questions are going to say person A, person B. Some will say a dress and a pair of pants. So the different things, all you need to do is identify them as X or Y. So it tells you in this one, right, Excel? What did it tell you to make X?
The larger number.
Okay, so the larger number should be X. And the smaller number should be Y. And at the end of the day, we're still going to try to find what is X and what is Y. And it tells us a smaller number and a larger number add to 17. So if 2 things add to 17, how would I write that mathematically? Here's my system. How would I write that a smaller number and a larger number add to 17? So when it says add, what does that mean? I'm going to add. So I'm going to take a smaller number. A smaller number, Y. I'm going to add a larger number, and when I add them, it's going to equal 17. So a lot of the times, it's not gonna say this and this will equal 17, or this plus this will equal 17. It's gonna use words like will add to 17, and you've gotta figure out that that means equals. If two things add to 17, that means when you add them together, they're gonna equal 17. But they have a difference of 1, okay? So what is it, how would I write the difference of 1? Subtraction. So I'm gonna say, but y minus x equals 1. Whatever the numbers are, if I subtract them from each other, I'm gonna get a difference of 1. So I don't know what this is. Maybe it's 10. That means 11 has to be 9. If this is 15, x has to be 14. You know what I mean? So when I subtract them, they equal 1. Now I have my system, and what do I need to do to solve my system? How did the lady show you, or how did I just show you on the first example? What do we do? How do we do it on yours, Joe? What do we do with one equation? We took one equation, and what do we put it? Where do we put it? Into the first one. But this one's not ready. Okay? In order to substitute, you need to have it in like y-intercept form, or one variable on the left and everything else on the right. It doesn't matter which one you pick, y or x, but we have to make it such that it's easy to solve. So I'm gonna use this one, and I'll show you why right now. I'm gonna rewrite this one. Instead of y minus x, I'm gonna bring that x to the other side so that I have y equals 1 plus x. Okay, does that make sense? All I did was take this and bring it over here. Now I can substitute this. This is gonna be the hardest part. This can now go, I can now substitute that into that. Okay? So instead of y plus x, I'm gonna have 1 plus x. Guys, look up here, please. We're almost done. Plus x. Where's those little blockies? Get rid of those blockies. Okay? I took this y, 1 plus x, I put it here. I still have my x, and I still equal 17. Okay? Now I'm gonna combine my like terms. 1 and 1x and 1x is 2x. That's 17. I'm gonna use my algebra to isolate my variable. 2x equals 17 minus 1 is 16. Gonna divide both sides by 2. And then I'm gonna have x equals 8 at the end. Okay? So what did I find? X equals 8. But how does my answer need to look? What does my answer need to look like in Pearson? Parentheses, comma, parentheses. So x, we found it to be 8, so what are we missing? The y. And how do we find the y? How can I find this? Plug in the x, 8 plus 1 is 9, and that's it, okay? Setting up the equations will be the hardest part. But once you get that, everything else is just like before, okay? I was gonna say something. I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay. What questions do we have? This is how the problems are. The first 5 are like the first example, and the second 4 are like this one, okay? Work on those. You have the rest of the class to work that on. Like I said, go in order. If you haven't watched the video and take notes, watch it. It's probably gonna be helpful. Then do the practice problems for solving systems, and then do 4.5, which is this last one, which is where you have to set up the equation, okay? I hope this video recorded.